Hey, welcome to EPS ParaTalk. I'm Robert. This is.
Freddie.
Sorry to throw you off, Freddie.
I
I know.
almost thought about forget my name for a second.
I'll let them know what your name is just in case. Not a problem.
Right.
Just to make sure.
Let me set this, and then I'm gonna share some stuff. So, how are you today, sir?
I'm doing fine. Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
Good.
And yourself? Can you talk and share at the same time?
I'm gonna try to.
All right. Give
I'm
it
doing good.
Wing
Doing
it.
good.
Wing
Doing
it.
good.
Welcome, everybody. Hope you guys have had a good weekend so far. I know a lot of us were looking forward to the weekend just to sit back and chill, try to relax, and go with some positivity. Hey, we are going to still be talking about abilities. We talked about it on our show. Give some, just to update it now. I can go ahead and start finding out who all's on.
Pauline.
Why is it not going down yet, though?
I got this. Thanks. I'll take care of that.
Thank you. Just wait for everybody else to finish jumping on. If you're new, please go ahead and just say new. Type in new. You don't have to say anything else for the rest of the show. I just want to give you a simple personal shout out. We are going to be talking about abilities. Vicky, thank you for being on. Sorry to throw you off, Freddie. Oh, sure. Go ahead. Crush me. Michelle, she's back again. Love it. You want to talk about somebody who's positive, that's Michelle.
Michelle.
Yeah, I don't know what kind of Kool-Aid she drinks, but I like it. It works out great. Last show we talked about abilities, and I do want to continue to talking about abilities on this show for just a little bit. It's an interesting topic. Those that are gifted have abilities, and they can range. There's a wide range. Colette, thanks for being back on. She was with us on our 12 o'clock show, too. Appreciate that. If you guys have a particular topic or you have a question you want to ask, feel free to. This is interactive, so if we are live, this is interactive. We're going to be reading your comments, and we'll be trying to respond to as many as possible, so please feel free to go ahead and put them up there. Let me know when you're done sharing.
Give me about an hour. And I'll be done.
Thank you for everybody that's shared so far. We appreciate that very, very much. Then we'll be back under control. We are looking to start getting our investigations lined up. Our team typically helps locations and families. It's not so much the normal where Scott's back. Great. Way to be back, Scott. Appreciate it. Our team is a little bit different. We do treat locations. We do treat personnel as far as with attachments, something like that. So a lot of our investigations are kind of slanted towards that direction. We are pretty fortunate because it also puts us in a little bit more active locations, if that makes sense, something that's being a little bit more predominant and wants to come out. So a lot of times we have been fortunate to catch a lot of really good activity. One of the investigations I want to do in the very, very near future is going to be children. We've talked about it. A lot of people, I've seen a lot more posts online nowadays as far as, hey, how young can children actually be? But I want to bring a couple into it to kind of give you guys a chance to see some children actually investigating and kind of get your thoughts afterwards would be great. Jerry, thanks for being back on.
Hey, Jerry.
Everybody is absolutely welcome. You can sit back, you can watch, you can be part of the show, you can sit there with your comments, your opinions. Look, you don't have to agree with everything we say. Understand that from the front. You just have to be respectful towards everybody who's watching right now. That's all I ask for, is be respectful towards Freddie or anybody that's watching. If you have something you want to take out on me, knock yourself out. I really don't care. It's not going to get you very far. I got plenty of punch upstairs, cracking. I don't care. We're going to have some fun.
Right.
Abilities. For you guys that are on right now, out of everybody that's on right now, if you have abilities, can you...
I know Colette's on. So.
I know she's on,
Yeah.
so she doesn't mind. If you don't mind, I know Scott does, I know Colette, I'd like to have an idea out of the people we have on right now. It's showing about 31 people right now. I'd love to know how many of you guys have abilities. Do you have any abilities? And when I say abilities, I'm talking about being able to feel, sense, see, know things that you really shouldn't have the ability to
I would say
know.
a little, yeah.
You believe you have some abilities?
Yeah.
Think you're starting up?
Starting up, yeah.
The one thing I do find is the longer that our team members are in the field, the more each one of them starts to open up. I've watched that,
True.
Through all the different people we've had. I've seen that a lot.
How about you?
I don't feel that I have abilities in the sense of really knowing things or sensing and feeling people are in the room itself, if that makes sense. I don't.
Shout out to Crisinda from
Crescendo,
South Africa.
thank you. Thanks for being on.
Pauline
Pauline has abilities. That's great. It's all in a cluster. I love it. And again, whichever you could feel like you have you're empathic where you can just feel emotions of people. You can feel pain. You can feel sorrow, stuff like that. That's the empathic part. You might get bits and pieces. Some people get vibration or sensations of energy, like in their legs, and they know that's children. If it's higher, they know it's adults. Some people can actually see in real time the person on the other side. Some people just know they're there. Some people will actually get little short clips of videos. So it's different for a lot of different people. Pauline had it ever since she was a kid. That's awesome to know. So if you have abilities, let us know if you have abilities. And again, I'm not judging. We're not here to judge anybody. If you feel like you have abilities, great. If you don't, that's perfectly fine too. But I like to have an idea how many people we have on right now that have abilities. And I would love to know if it started when you were younger or when you were older. Temporal replay, clairaudient, clairsentient. Michelle. I knew that was. Wasn't even looking at her at the time. See, yeah. Awesome. Thank you for your input. When we do these shows, these are casual. We like giving them back as well. We like to go ahead and at the same time, it's almost like research. The more we can find out from you individually, one-on-one, straight from you, straight from the source, the better. It's a great way to get some feedback. And since we're talking to people around the world, it's even better. Susanna.
So I felt that I've had ability since a child, but my therapist says that it's just my trauma playing games with my head, and I used to seek dark shadows in the house and things moving, feeling someone watching me.
I think that just like we were talking about last week, it's just like attachments. It's really hard for some of the medical field, scientific field to really draw a conclusion on it. We know, look, in the United States, we know the government has used people for like remote viewing in all sincerity. And it's not just the United States. There's a lot of money and funding that went into because they knew people could actually read things from miles and miles away that didn't make any sense. They could actually go over and somehow see it. So I didn't know until I went to counseling, started when I was a child. There's so many people that go through, first of all, abilities. Having the gift, having the ability to see, sense, feel, or know things that you really shouldn't. You walk into a location, you drive by a location. You want to give a shout out?
I think it's Haiti.
You go by a location, you see a location, you can even watch and you can get a feeling for how somebody felt, something that happened in the location, a heaviness. There's a range that comes through. Pauline, I hear, see, feel when I go into a place. I see what it used to be, and I see the dead among the living. Sometimes it's scary and overwhelming. Thank you so much. The reason I'm asking you to share is because those other people that are sitting in the shadows that are not speaking up right now, they're the same way, but they're scared they're going to be judged. And I really want to break down. We want to break down that wall of judgment. Look, we're not sitting here to judge you. You know, I don't know what it's like. I do. Sin City, thanks for being on. I want other people to be able to understand where the path you walk, what you experience, what you have to go through, the scalding looks you get from time to time, the real questionable of uncertainty that people look at you like. But I want anybody that has abilities or gifts, whatever, from the very beginning to the very widest range. There's nothing wrong with you. And I really want you to know that. And for those that are going through it, especially those that just start opening up, the biggest thing that unfortunately, you have to deal with is you feel broken, you feel weird, you feel like a freak. There's a range that goes through, and I want you to know you're not. Okay? The honest truth is the rest of us just keep trying to go ahead and build excuses for why we see or know or feel or smell something. We're just trying to make excuses for it. You guys are actually ahead of us. That's all. That's really the truth. I'm attracted to old houses, buildings, and cemeteries. That makes sense. Get that all the time. I was told by an empath I was told I'm an empath by a psychic. I'm emotionally overwhelmed. Patty, thank you very much. Can sense ghosts, talk to them. I'm in the house. I love this. Thank you so much, all of you guys, and I'm sincere. Thank you so much for sharing because, again, there's a lot of people that will not speak up and they're going to watch this afterwards. They're on here right now and they feel like they're going to be judged. I love seeing this. Um, you have to decide for yourself. I have a whole different way of going about this. So, different people break it up and they have 10 different titles. You have whatever floats your boat on it. Mine, when I'm dealing with people and I'm talking, you basically start with the first group, then you go to the empaths, which are the emotions you can feel and sense, but you have no clue. It's more so the feeling. You can feel pain, you can feel sorrow, the negativity really comes in. Hold on to Heather for a second. Heather, thank you for being on. And then you go into the next phase, which is basically the sensitives. The sensitives are, you can get the short video clips. You're getting a lot more consistently, but you don't know really where it's coming from. When you get to know where it's coming from, you move into the mediumship. Once you become a medium and you're trusting your sources, your spirit guides that you're getting the information from, you learn to turn it on, turn it off, and doesn't mean that everybody does, but that's more the medium side. And then when you can actually, in the medium, can know about your past, and even a very senior medium, somebody who's really um, well developed, will turn around and will know bits and pieces about your future, and then the psychic will know more about your future as well as everything beforehand. Each step still encompasses. So even as a psychic, you're still an empath. You can still have that emotion and feel what somebody went through. You just learn how to turn it off typically.
Heather I have a few questions with getting started. When you go into investigations, do you only have a set group or do you just invite anyone? Also, how do you handle no trespassing signs?
No trespassing signs should be taken as they say, no trespassing. We don't go to locations with no trespassing signs. We have too much equipment, too much value into it, and I don't want anything to come in a negative sense. I'm not promoting negativity in the field. Typically, if we're going to go to a location and it's an abandoned house, let's put it that way, we talk to the police. Why not? Because some of them will actually open up and give you some awesome, because so often nobody talks to them. We'll approach the police department and say, hey, look, we're going to be in the cemetery. We know it's open. We're going to be in the cemetery, so if you see us out there, we just want to give you a heads up. We're not vandals. We're going to be out there tonight. And then they might lead us to some other hot spots. A lot of cops really don't want to deal with it. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's cops that investigate the paranormal. But for the most part, most of the cops don't like the things that they've seen. They're like, if a 9 ain't going to stop it, we ain't playing with it. So great question. For us, we have a set team. We have open investigations, which means we'll say, hey, look, we're going to be up in Shepherdstown on Saturday night, and we're going to start at 7 o'clock. We're going to meet at the Sheets, and then we're going to go to this location first. If we say that, anybody's welcome to show up and come. We love it because we want you guys to be hands-on and we want people to experience what we experienced. There's no tricks. Sleeves are up. Let's show everybody what it is and go at it. Make sense? We want to put the integrity back in the field. We know what we've experienced, and we know what a lot of people go through. No different than people with abilities. There's a lot of people that have said, okay, I'm going to go to Freddie for a reading, and it's more of a carny act. It's like, it's not real. He's going to look at me and go, well, I feel you've lost somebody that was very important to you. Well, who hasn't, honestly? I want the details. Can you give me a name, even a first name? Can you tell me something of what they truly look like? Well, the guy's got a real big gap in his front teeth. He's got buck teeth. They're gapped open. Give me some details that are very pertinent. That's when you win my trust. You know what I mean? That's something we're looking for.
Christine said, we've had almost all positive responses since putting our family's abilities out there in the show. Please know accepting and positive people are out there.
It's really, really important for you guys to know that, though, because so many people in the past had worried about the judgment that had gone on. Robert, I saw you jumped on. We're going to get down to you in just a moment. Thank you so much for joining us. So I think we took care of hers. Para-unity is a big deal. Para-unity is just being able to, again, it's being respectful towards one another, and just listening doesn't mean you have to sit there and agree with what this person says. You have your beliefs, perfectly fine.
Like Michelle said, that's my fear, the wall of judgment. I only came out and opened about 2 years ago. It's my biggest fear doing live feeds, judgment. There's too many fakes that people like me can recognize that make the ones look like us look bad, so we stay.
It's horrible. Again, look, we know there's going to be a percentage of people that are going to claim to have abilities because they want attention. And I'm talking about some public figures that are well known that aren't impressive at all. I'm sorry, they're not. You know, I don't know what they're drawing on. We met a person at the bash last year that was supposed to be from Canada. That was supposed to have abilities.
Yeah.
I have no abilities, but I can tell you, no different than Michelle is. You can spot him a fake a million miles away. He had no abilities. He was trying to ride on people around him. I'm sorry, but he had nothing. He couldn't pop up. He couldn't give you any honest information. Whereas other people are amazing. I mean, they turn around. What you see from me. Oh, Rob, this is not a read. If anybody happens to get a read on something, that's different. But I just want to let you know, we're not doing a reading right now. We're talking about people with abilities. Susanna, I have weird dreams about dead people and I wake up distressed and exhausted. Most people that have abilities also have they deal with anxiety, their mind's always racing, they have a hard time for sleep. You know, that's all part of what comes with it. Tassos, what's on, buddy?
Hey, Tass.
Thanks for being with us. The fear of judgment is huge, though. It's extremely huge. How many people, when you know your integrity level. I mean, you either have it or you don't. And the point is, even if you have it, you shouldn't feel like you have to spontaneously come up with something. You go to a location, you spontaneously you don't have to. If you don't get something, you don't get something. It's pretty simple. That's the way it goes. But for people we have seen people that are incredibly credible, that are very, very good, and still people. I was looking at one where I did an interview with our team medium, Janie, and I just saw a person who responded on one of the YouTubes, which is just our personal interview. And I was at her house. It was very casual. If you watch it, you're going to see. And first thing, he puts a comment up there, and he goes, "Yep, already lost me. I just saw her demeanor and the way she just moved her position." Dude, you are not a FBI shrink, a profile, or anything else. Get a clue. Get a life. If you know what you're talking about, wonderful. If you don't, I just wish people would stay away from it. Right. Mary, thanks for being on. I'm wondering if the spirit world knows of the chaos. Can answer that really easy. Has anybody with abilities, before I say anything, anybody with abilities, have you picked up anything? As a paranormal investigator, people are coming up and they're hearing the word COVID and they're hearing different things. For those of you guys who are on here right now, in all sincerity, if you don't mind sharing, do you feel like the spirit world, those on the other side, know what's going on right now? I'd love to be able to answer Mary's question with you guys.
Hey, Jennifer.
Somebody was just had up there where it bothered. Can you go up just a hair real quick? Jennifer, thanks for being back on Grounded Paranormal. Yeah, talking about when people ride other people's coattails trying to get 15 minutes of fame. I'm big on calling you out for that. I despise that. I don't want to see somebody try to use somebody who has abilities and then act like they're getting all this stuff. Look, just be yourself, man. I have more respect for somebody without abilities being themselves than somebody with ability and exaggerating, if that makes sense. Being in tune with aware of the surroundings, I feel that I've grown more in that aspect. I have the verbal responses to questions during AVP sessions picked up on audio. Thank you, Scott. Paranormal group I'm involved with doesn't associate with another group because of their BS and nonsense. Look, I don't associate with 2 teams out there or 3 teams out there. There's 3 teams I won't associate with because I'm not going to go back. I'm not going to put myself around negativity and people that lack integrity. Don't want to do it. I'll take your word for it with a grain of salt. And it's no offense to anybody, even my own team medium. I have to have something that's going to confirm what you're picking up on. So it's hard. It's a hard edge to walk. And some people that are gifted can handle that, and others get very, very offended by it. They're like, what do you mean you don't believe me? What do you want me to tell you? And unless you can really pick up some details, intimate details that I know that you're dead on, I got it. When we go to a location, I can't just have somebody just tell me anything. You can tell me anything, but I'm going to be looking for those confirmations. And the ones I'm constantly getting confirmations from, great. We get people that are watching and they'll message us behind the scenes. So they're like, look, I don't want to put it out there because I don't want to be judged. I respect the hell out of that. But then they'll give me their little bits and pieces of what they're picking up on. We go to a location. What is really cool for us, because we do this live, we go to a location, and this is, it's, boy, it's really giving a client a bigger picture of what the paranormal field's really about, talking about people with abilities. Because we'll set up the monitor where they can actually watch these comments coming in. And the clients will sit there and be watching, and people from around the world will start picking up on details. Those that are gifted will start talking about what the client's dealt with. And the client's like, oh my God, I forgot to tell you guys we had a fire here, and this person's talking about the fire we had here. You know, where the person, they know a person from Australia has no clue who they are. That makes sense. So it's neat for a client to be able to recognize and understand how well people can see things and not even be in their life.
Chris, Pauline, Jennifer, and Colette all agree that activity has amped up and picked up.
Okay, on the other side, are they aware of it is the question. Are they aware on the other side? Yes, I have a lot of anxiety, also PTSD, and yes, I wholeheartedly feel that people on the other side are well aware of what's going on. Thank you. I do know, honestly, and there's a little delay, so we're going to be coming up with this. I do know the other side. There's plenty of people on the other side that are aware. I mean, there's some people, and again, we're talking about intelligent energies. You know, that's going to be obviously the ones that are up. It takes time to draw a spirit near. I fast and abstain for a couple of days before investigating. I pray before every investigation, dowsing, doing EVP, and so forth. Somebody did a dowsing rod set right above that. Did a dowsing rod session.
That was Jennifer, ground Paranormal Prayer at the cemetery.
That was really cool. That was really cool, and that was during the daytime. It was really cool because you could see the dowsing rods, and hearing. Matter of fact, well, they had somebody who was watching that came up with Mary. Said she's over to the right.
Yeah,
I think she said first to the left. She goes, no, my right. They're over to the right of where you're at or whatever, and said the first name's Mary, and they walked over to the headstone right there, and it was Mary.
Yep.
So, and they had some spirit box communication as well, plus the dowsing rods. Tiffany, I personally think they do know what's going on. Having those in my life who passed away come to us about things going on in the present time is sometimes mind-blowing to me. What do you feel about pendulums? What's your take on pendulums?
I had one for a while. I thought it was cool. I believe in it.
Yeah, I believe pendulums are very much like dowsing rods. I have seen where my wife had taken a quarter, and it was just the heads up, heads down, heads or tails for a quarter. And I believe it was 27 times in a row she was dead on with the pendulum. You know, before we sit there and open it up, she's asking the pendulum doing the yes or no, and it would go, you know, you got yes going one way, no going the other way, or heads, and we could go tails going one way. I was convinced 27 times in a row, what's the mathematical chance of that happening, that she's going to be right every time on that? And I've seen people get some real good accuracy out of pendulums. The right person. We all move a little bit. It's no different than the dowsing rods. They're going to move a little bit, but for the right person, when that energy is being used, it's amazing what you can get out of them. Some people, it's again, like the dowsing rods. You're going to find some people can use dowsing rods, and those rods are going to sit in one place. They're never going to move. Don't care if they're in a hurricane. It's like they're glued in one spot, and they're not. I mean, if you understand the dowsing rods, they have a little casing or beads on them so they can rotate freely as long as you're not holding the top of them.
Heather said she just started to come out because of fear, but so far it's been a good experience. I have had a strong sense of energy or something coming. Things are not even close to being over yet.
It's wonderful to hear, and it's getting a lot better. And the more that we publicize as far as about people with abilities and allow them a chance to grow publicly rather than in the shadows, I think it's going to benefit all of us. We've got some children out there. You know, people are a little bit leery about children. Well, children are our next generation investigators, and if there's a lot of separation, teams are finally going to a point where they're looking for somebody with abilities to have on their team, because when used correctly, it's in my opinion, when used correctly, it's amazing what you can get. And what I mean by used correctly is, I do not share, like with our team medium, she does not get any information at the location we're going to. She will start texting me well in advance, sometimes up to a month, most of the time within 1 to 2 weeks. She'll start texting me all this information about a location we're going to. It might even be the type of house we're going to go to, but it's very detailed information. So now it's time stamped.
Pauline, take care. Thank you.
See you, Pauline. Thank you so much. So now it's time stamped. That's really beneficial for as a team. That's very, very beneficial. Not having all the information means I'm not contaminating her thoughts. I'm not trying to push her thoughts towards one thing. If I go to a location, I tell my whole team, hey, there's known to be this little girl there, it's blah, blah, blah. We suddenly get targeted towards this little girl, and we spend the night trying to contact the little girl rather than whatever else is actually going on in the location. I don't like that, so we want to be careful about it. Craig, thanks for being on. Mary, thank you so much for being with us. We appreciate it. I use certain branches, rods, eggs, coconuts in my pendulum. Okay, you're going to have to tell me about the eggs. I don't know anything about the eggs.
Yeah.
That's new to me, which would be cool. We're always open to learn. We love learning new things. We love sharing what we find out in the field. Again, I don't have regular abilities in the sense that the people that go on here. Kimberly, thanks for being on. But I want people to truly understand there are extremely gifted people that are helping police all the time as far as solve cases, find people. I know in our case in particular, I know our team medium has helped. One of the earlier cases we worked on, the first ones that really hit home with just how I believe there's a reason for everything, and I think people are putting our paths for everything. And one of the earliest investigations that myself and Janie did together dealt with a woman who had lost her son to it was an overdose. She thought it was accidental. He's telling Janie it was on purpose. He was in a really bad place. Either way, she stopped living. She was contemplating some very dark thoughts as far as what she ought to do to herself, which was not healthy. And then after our visit, and then we don't just usually drop people off. We like to go back and check on them, or at least contact them again, follow up and whatnot. And to actually know this woman is living and back to living and having a life rather than contemplating that real negative stuff, she was one of the first ones that really landed on. That was a direct response from Janie, from the team medium. That's what made the difference. That's what changed this woman's mentality from what path she was going to take to continue living. And that really hit home with me. So from then, I've always had the highest regard for people with abilities, regardless. And again, Janie can sit here and she has told me, Rob, there's a dead little boy right here. I know to her, she's seen the dead little boy and everything, but to me, I'm still needing a confirmation. So if that offends you, if you're around me, I'm sorry, but that's the way it's going to be. But it's really cool when it comes together. I agree, some are aware. I got an EVP of a child saying, I'm thinking I'm crossing over, mother. That's pretty intense. That's a pretty intense statement to get. And people that, because you are more in touch, is Vicky on? Is Vicky on right now? Vicky, if you're on, can you just type yes real quick? Vicky Ott, if you're on. Sorry for calling you out. I just want to make sure I give you a shout out. There was some people last week, and thank you, Sandy. Sandy is one of our admins, and she was telling us last week we had people that we were not seeing their questions and we were not responding to them. So, Vicky, if that was the case with you, I want to personally say I'm sorry. We did not see it, but I want to make sure we respond to your questions. It's never on purpose that we don't respond to your questions. We really want to. Everyone has these gifts. Kimberly, I really believe that everyone does have the gifts. It's just how much they're open and how much they're not. I lost my thought on that. What is when you're blocked on purpose? Brainwashed when you're young. Sorry. More and more people are willing to go ahead and let their children go ahead. You brought it up best. When you're dealing with, we get cases all the time that, hey, my child's talking to somebody. I think they have a friend, an invisible friend, imaginary friend. I don't know if it's real or not. And I know my granddaughter who's upstairs. Sometimes will she play with somebody and I think it's just her imagination? Absolutely. She just kind of like cup of tea, whatever. When they get into having those more detailed conversations, that's when I'm really more, when they start having full-blown conversations and you can tell they're giving their side to somebody and they're waiting their turn to talk. And if you actually get them engaged in conversation about their friend, the details they give, you know they're talking about somebody. And some of them even come back, and how many times you've heard the story or you might experience it where they tell you about their grandfather or grandmother that they never met. Their grandfather, grandmother had passed beforehand, and yet all of a sudden they say, hey, Pappy came to visit me. Pretty impressive. Kelly, thanks for being on. Christy, FYI, when I opened your video from the alert, you were answering questions I didn't see. I closed out and went to your page directly, and the comments are now all showing. Thank you, Christy. I don't understand why that's happening. We checked everything, all the settings before we started to make sure they were all coming up right. And again, I apologize if anybody is. So try that if you have to. Close out and go directly to our page and log on there as far as on the feed and see if that works out better for you. Facebook just did an update recently, and that's why we're missing some. Jennifer had the same problem. So again, thank you for sharing that. At least we have an idea. We're just going to have to start directing people to go to our page to log on, so that we can see their comments. We love your comments. We by all means, we definitely do not try to avoid anybody's comments. If you have a question, feel free to ask it. If it's a comment, you're more than welcome to put it in there. Your opinion does not have to be the same as ours. But if you have a message, let me just tell you now, do not send it to Paranormal Warehouse's mailbox. You want to send it to our page. Go to our page and send us a message on our page, and it's just usually only a couple of us that are going to review any of them. But we will respond to you. Thank you very much. Right there's the link. You can go right on that link on our page. That's our group link. That one you have to ask permission to go on. That's not as good as our regular live, which is at the very top of the page.
Could have used a better picture for that one.
It's all good, man. Well, I did the first half show. I'll leave it over to you. Abilities, what do you guys saw?
Yes, you don't.
Okay, that's fine. Kimberly, yes, I personally don't agree with involving young children. Their minds are so impressionable. That's why the legal clause prohibiting leading the witness you find here. With the right guidance, look, I'm not in for just taking kids and just throwing them out to anything, but I do want to leave the kids open enough to go ahead and experience things. Children, and it really depends on the individual children. Children, A, have to be mature for their age. They definitely have to be mature. They have to have an idea what they're doing. They have to have the proper supervision and definitely the proper location. But there's a lot of kids that are terrified, no different than the adults. They have the abilities. They see things. Their parents don't know how to deal with it. Their parents might not even have the ability or realize they have the ability because they've closed themselves off, but the child doesn't, and then the child's traumatized by it, and then the parents don't know where to go get help. So that's why we're trying to open some of this up. I love that. And we have the Gettysburg Battlefield Bash coming up. That's the end of July, right?
The 24th
through the 26th.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, it's $20 this year. You get all 3 days for $20. You come in, you hang out, you do, go through everything. We want to do a round table there, just a live discussion. I don't care if we have to do it in the parking lot or where we have to do it. I know Grounded Paranormal, Jennifer's on right now. That's what just reminded me of it. We're going to set up some cameras and we're just going to go live with those so we can have some open discussions. Even during those, I love when we can just get some random people just to come in. And I don't care if it's an investigator or when you just can have somebody who can openly talk or discuss. Again, I'm going to have Jerry on here before long. Jerry he's newer to the field. I like getting people's perception at different levels. People who have been in the field for a long time, people who are newer to the field, people who have had gifts and are open about it, to those who have gifts and are closed because they don't want to be judged. I love having everybody's perception and knowing what's going on.
Cincinnati says, going to these investigations involving children is very touchy. The parents try to shield the child and give them answers to tell us during the interview or interrupt them and deter from what they may really be experiencing. So we try to use the imaginary friend approach as to not scare the child any more than they already are.
And that's when you're talking to the child themselves. When you're talking to the parent, we can't always be there to see what's going on. And we do want to know what's going on. Janet, thanks for being on. We want to truly know what's going on, but too often the parents have misled us on many times, many accounts, whereas they say, I don't know why my 3-year-old is saying the word demon. And we walk in there watching Carrie, or some flick like that. They're sitting there, the entire family's watching before we even get there. Obviously, the younger kids are going to be around that. They're going to be picking up on things.
Really quick, say hello to Janet. She's new.
I just said hi, Janet.
I didn't hear you say Janet.
You don't pay attention to what I say, man. What's up with that?
I never pay attention.
I know that.
Okay,
I know that. As long as we're both.
Sorry,
it's extremely important though, as far as for the children to be able to talk as well. The imaginary friends. You don't want to sit there and just say to a child, to Sin City's point. You're not going to sit there and just tell the child, oh, you got an entity you're dealing with. That's not a good thing that you're around. I mean, come on, you gotta approach things in the right way. You might not be the person that can approach that. Have you ever? I saw this posted one by somebody. It was a quick comment though. Have you ever backed away from an investigation because it was really outside of your comfort zone, your means? It's something it's a bigger than what you can handle type of situation. Have you ever backed away from it? It's the same thing with topics. If you really don't know how to approach an individual, you might need to have somebody else to approach them. Janie, our team medium, she sees whoever it is, and the first young spirit that I'm definitely feel a very good attachment to and everything, when we had the interaction and everything, Jeremiah, she was just like, Rob, stop. He's only about 5 years old. You slow down. Use small words, relax. And you need that. You need somebody that can be your anchor, that can slow you down or guide you to help you talk in the right way.
Well, it's like even on some of our investigation that we've done, you even do the whole role play stuff.
Yes.
Even with like the animals, you get down and come on, and try to interact with them, and you will get a lot better.
Well, in this one with Jeremiah, she's telling me Jeremiah is there, so I'm using, then this is through her guidance. As far as in this point, it was Janie. She's saying, he's right there. He's doing a great flashlight session. So I get out a ping pong ball and I put it on the floor. If there's children, I sit down. We typically will sit down. Freddie has a harder time because of his hips and everything. So if nothing else, he's at least in a chair. He's not standing and guising over top of whatever, we get down on the children's level. And at that point, when I want him to roll me a ball, I just rolled over I got onto my stomach. I'm like, come on, buddy, roll it to me. Can you push it to me? And you can hear this little kid going, ugh, ugh, like he's really trying. Straight EVP. It's not coming out of a spirit box or anything, but you hear a voice, a young kid trying to do something. That is amazing when you get that. I'm not sure what was Kimberly responding to as far as that's way cool for kids. I apologize. I got talking to you much.
Just being able to
open up, I think, is big for them. The investigation we're looking to do and we're hoping to do would actually have 2 of the children would be gifted and one of them is not supposedly gifted. So it's kind of neat, and the one that's not gifted, ideally, we would try to use her to kind of lead. We've done an investigation with her before, and I was blown away. She was better than a lot of adults that I've investigated with. It was cool listening to her questions. She got responses that was pretty significant. We gave her some suggestions. One of the things I like to do that's different than most people. I like to whistle, and try to get somebody to whistle back. 1 as an EVP. 2 like through the spirit box. So if I whistle during the spirit box session, I want to see if they can whistle back. You don't hear very many people talking about whistle. So she had responses, and I asked this one in particular. She was only 9, and I asked her. I said, "Can you whistle? Get them to whistle back to you." And did the whistle, and she got a whistle right back. That was clear as day. There was no question it was a whistle. So, but when you can see them. Sometimes kids will actually get better responses than the adults will at the time. Melody, thanks for being on. Did you have any other questions prior?
No, let me back up just a bit. I think there's one.
To be a full team member, Sin City's talking about how they have an 18. A lot of people are 18 or 16 with consent. We have some open locations. I would put consent would have to have an adult with them if they were going to be under 16. If they were under 18, they had to have consent. Under 16, they'd have to have another adult with them. And even then, look, when it comes to the paranormal, I'll be honest with you, we have more when we do open houses. When we do an open investigation, it means we're gonna go. I'm sorry. We have an open investigation, and then we have investigations where we turn around and sell at an event, where we're going to sell tickets for $30 or $40. The open investigations we charge nothing for. If we're doing it for a fundraiser or to raise for the team, whatever, we want to get some equipment, and we do a location, and we'll probably do between $25 and $40. I don't think we were done one for $40, but we would have so many people come in, and we have seen more adults psych themselves out and get scared than the kids. It's been absolutely the opposite of what you would expect. But honestly, we've seen that happen more times than not. Kimberly, background in psychology, love it.
And Chris said one fun thing about Cassidy is she can often tell us what equipment the spirit is able to use to communicate.
Which is really important because, people have this mentality that when they go to a location, all equipment's going to work. And that's not the way it works.
Yeah. Some have certain
some can manipulate this and not be able to manipulate this. Look, all spirits cannot talk through a spirit box. All spirits cannot make words and create EVPs. All spirits cannot walk through walls, pass through walls. I don't care how strange it sounds. I truly believe that. Different can do different things.
Like Chris said, yep, just basically touch on it, yep. Can't use certain equipment.
And you'll actually hear where somebody who is gifted can actually tell you, well, they don't like that. It actually messes with their energy and whatnot. Again, that's Janie talking about where you have to know your limits. And when you get to, if you're open, for those that are gifted, if you're open, you're more of a target. Janie, unfortunately, we call her a ghost hound. We know we're going into a negative location. I have to wait and see how the response is regardless. Janie is still put in a situation that, because usually if it's negative, it doesn't want her disclosing everything, so it will go after her. We know that's going to happen. It's not uncommon. But she knows when to back away from it. Michelle, many times if I am out and about, like Waffle House, Walmart or something, I'll read people. Only if I'm led to talk to them, I will approach them. Only once on Facebook, I spent a couple hours reading people. They sent me a photo and simply tell them what I was feeling. Some people can read photos, some people cannot read photos. It doesn't mean that you're less gifted or more gifted or whatever. Some people have the ability to and some people don't. Unfortunately, it's trying to let your abilities go where they're going, but watch. We're all subjected to pareidolia. Our eyes, if you let your eyes lead you, you're probably going to get subjected to pareidolia. If you look at a photo and it's pixelated because they went in and, of course, they do the circle around the glass image that supposedly has a face, look, we're all subject to that. It's kind of looking like clouds where you see the horses and the riders on horses up on the clouds. Look, they're not really people riding horses in the clouds. I'm sorry. Another spoiler alert, I guess. What is...
I'm not sure. Last night I was watching a live feed, and
this is Craig was watching, all right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I told a group to watch out as there was one of their team was going to get scratched or touched, and within 5 minutes of me saying it, someone on the other side of the place said that they just got touched. So picked up on a spirit in a black cloak, and I told them, and the team medium picked up on the same thing.
We've had a number of times, even, again, we're doing these locations where we're reading something. We're doing these locations where that are negative, and we're going to go there to, obviously, we're looking for, to find out if it's really or if it's just hype. We basically I wait for the house to prove itself. it's just the way it works as far as to let the house prove itself, see what's really there, and then we have a plan set up ahead of time. Have somewhere I was going with that, and I just completely right out the door with that one. Age, man, love age. Why has it got to be that way? Go back up just a hair. I was going off what somebody had typed in. Nope. I'm sorry, I lost that one. All right, there you go. But while people are live, because we live stream most of our investigations, again, that goes back to when we have warnings from people that are watching, and we can't see all the warnings. The person who's behind the monitor will read and they'll only let us know certain things. All right, hang on. I got a message from Sandy is telling us once again there's a bunch of us that you aren't seeing this time around, and we aren't seeing the people you are talking to. If you go on, if you're hearing us right now, for some reason, if you go onto our page and you restart it, most people have been, that's where how some people, we were talking about this earlier, we are not seeing everybody's comments, unfortunately, and I sincerely apologize. It's not a setting on our side. I've checked all the settings. There's nothing else we can do. If you turn around and go back to our page and log back in on our page on Elite Paranormal Society, click right back to that because we fed it back over. First, then we can see your comments. I really want to get everybody's comments on this. It really means a lot to us. It's really important, though, with those that have abilities that we've gotten a lot of alerts as far as what's upcoming, and sometimes the person behind, there's certain things that people know to tell us if they're monitoring the comments. They know if there's something that they need to tell us. We don't get all of them. So when the action happens, and yet we've seen where 5 people have said, hey, this person's going to be touched, they're going to be scratched, or they're going to be pushed, and we get a person who gets pushed, and we can go back and look at that, and the client can see that as well. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah, here's some people that we don't see on here, but I know Melody joined, Jenny's on, Kimberly. I think the ability of the instance or entity is limited by various perspectives of the living. Here's some different people that we're not seeing. So.
All right, so if you see any of those, go ahead.
I apologize, guys.
We're trying to find any way to be able to keep up with you guys so that
a lot of people are going back out and coming back in, so they had to refresh.
Jennifer, a child's brainwave works slower than an adult's. This is why children can see and talk to spirits. Our brains are filled with life and worries of the world. Amber just went out and refreshed, and she's back on. I can see her now. Bonnie, I can see. Mm-hmm. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. I'm sorry. I have no idea why you have to do that. That makes no sense to us. Facebook glitch. Log out and log back in. Hop out, count to 5, and hop back in.
Yeah, Kimberly.
Kimberly, I bottle my gifts up. I don't know how to use it. They come at me, and it gives me anxiety and panic attacks, so I shut down. Kimberly, that's very, very common. That's extremely common, and it's understandable. Most people don't even know where to turn to, what to do, and all that does is build up more anxiety inside of you, unfortunately. But you're not alone. Number one, nobody is a freak, broke, wrong, however you want to put it. And you're not alone. There's so many people that are now out and talking about abilities. I think it's fantastic. I appreciate them so much for sharing their abilities. And I think it's very important for people like yourself to understand. This is a real critical time. I mean, let's be real. Everybody's freaking out in life in general. There's a lot of negativity out there that's happening. What they're not posting is the suicide rates. The suicide rates are through the roof on everywhere. Everywhere. I don't care what country you're from. They're going nuts, unfortunately. Hey, Linda. Okay. I didn't see Linda earlier either.
Yeah, she just popped on, but it's not showing her as watching. It just has a reply back to Bonnie. Yeah.
It happens. I don't understand it. So it's really important for people to know, because you can be overwhelmed. Even if you're not on medication for anxiety, it doesn't mean you can't have anxiety attacks. And the anxiety attacks is you've got all this different energy going on, and it doesn't have to be in your house and right in front of you. You've got all this different energy that's going on, and you're absorbing, and then you find yourself all of a sudden you can't concentrate. Your sleep is out the door. When your sleep goes out the door in more than just 1 or 2 days, that's going to have a hell of an impact on you, and you got to slow down. Oh, Janie, I'm so sorry to hear that. Before she met us, she truly did feel like she was alone. I am so sorry to hear that by far. I hate to hear any of you guys that feel like that.
That's Janie Harris, by the way.
No, but still, I didn't
But
know
right.
she felt alone. I mean, I
Yeah.
know she
Is
had
she?
been with other teams before,
Right.
temporarily, but I mean,
Yeah.
she had been. But even you just don't realize it until you hear it from them, just
they
how
felt.
isolated or alone they felt. And that's horrible. Christine, we are available for anyone that wants to talk about having gifts. Can't guarantee we can solve all problems, but we can be there to listen.
Awesome.
That's huge. That's huge. And again, that's a big reason why we do these talks. These talks help bring people, help network people together. And again, it's not just me saying it. You're hearing people right here that have abilities that can put it out there to you and say, hey, look, you're not alone. It can be extremely lonely, and that's the problem. And I talk to people all around the world one-on-one. I do a lot of talk that I do off to the side because I want people to understand. And again, that's why I keep bringing kids back into it, because these are adults that are coming out and saying it. Why are empaths prone to suicide? When I was recommended meds by my doctor, but I didn't take them, and my sleep has been bad for 2 months. Very simple. Empaths, you have more negative in your life, more negativity stimuli coming in here, okay? It doesn't have to be from here. It doesn't have to be from somebody you're arguing with. You don't even know it's coming into your mind. That's the problem. When you're empathic, and that's really where you're at the time, when you're strong, when your empath is very high and you're picking up all this negativity, if something negative pops in, it can abuse that like a champ and definitely make you commit suicide in a heartbeat. I mean, we're talking entities, attachments, stuff like that. But even without that, you don't have to have any of that. That overwhelming feeling of doom and dread. Tell me you don't have it right now. How many of you guys have felt that doom and dread right now? I mean, you just feel like, oh my God, I'm just so overwhelmed. It's not all you. You're picking up on 15, 20, 30 people around you. And it doesn't have to be around you in this time period. And it doesn't have to be around you within a mile. That's what
I can see it wearing you out.
we put these borders up and think this is how it's supposed to work. I can hear Freddie because he's right here. That's not you. An empath is not hearing. An empath is getting it here. It's energy waves that are coming. And I know that sounds a little bit crazy to people. Hey, look, you're the ones dealing with it. Okay, you're the ones that are getting spent so high, you can't concentrate on anything. You can't focus on your work. Your mind never shuts down. It's always racing. You feel like your heartbeat is starting to race, trying to catch up to your mind, and you can never sleep. How are you not going to go ahead? And we were talking about it on our last show. That's what I'm saying. Go to a creek. I don't care. Go to the beach is number one. The number one way to help most people, in all sincerity, is to slow the hell down. Go to the beach, put your feet in the sand, and just do natural grounding. And what that is, anybody that has gone to the beach, and if you feel differently, please put it up there. I'm perfectly fine with it. Anybody that's gone to the beach and spent a day on the beach, that night they get the absolute best sleep in their life. And the reason for that is because your body has naturally grounded. In that sand, at the water, it's naturally grounded. If you don't have the beach near you, you can get to a creek where you can just go down, sit on a damn rock, sit on the ground, put your bare feet in the water, and chill. Read a book, whatever, slow down. Okay, this might sound crazy, but I see people before they pass like their spirit, not actually them, but I know when they're going to pass. Has anyone had this? Yes. Between seeing when the spirit detaches is in the preparation of moving on, people do see that. And on the other side of that, people have premonitions. Two different things. You sound like you actually see the spirit attaching and getting ready to move on. Doesn't mean that somebody can't go and talk to them. I know that blows people's minds. The person is there that they can go and talk to, but yet it's like their spirit is already preparing their journey. Whereas people with premonition will know ahead of time when somebody's about to die.
Hey, Susan Biles.
The negative thoughts coming into your heads, again, that is very, very common. Now, two different things. If you have an attachment and it's the same voice you're hearing, and that's something different, we treat it a little bit different. Ultimately, you want to ground. When you know, why I call him brother.
Janie.
Oh, is that Janie?
Yeah.
I was hoping that was my sis. Um, when you're having negative thoughts and it's consistent negative thoughts. You can have negative thoughts just about doing something negative from the overwhelming. When it's trying to tell you and you start hearing the voices, you need to go ahead and listen, and that's when you need to reach out. You need to reach out to somebody, because you can have attachments or entities can play in your head. That's different than just having just the normal being an empath and feeling the negativity around you. Those are two different things. So depending on what you're going through is a big deal. Um, I can't put into words how grateful I am accepting me on my abilities, judgment. And again, it's okay. Look, for everybody without abilities, I want to direct this right to you. It's okay not to believe in somebody with abilities until they tell you something and you get confirmation. That's okay. It's being a skeptic. If you're a true investigator, you're going to do that. You should do that. First time Freddie met Janie, in his mind, he's going, yeah, no, there ain't no way this. Shout out, Chris.
Hey, Chris.
Melody, thanks. That's still an important part to have, but at the same time, and like in our case, fortunately, I'm very fortunate that Janie doesn't get offended by that. She understands being an investigator is different than being just a normal person. A normal person, you should accept everybody for who they are. And once they've told you over and over certain things in your life that they shouldn't have been able to know, you should have a clue. They have a clue what they're talking about. I mean, they should be able to depend on you. The problem is when some people come out of their shell and say, hey, look, I have this ability, people all of a sudden want to distance themselves, be like, yeah, okay, timeout, person's crazy. When that's your own family member, I know husbands that have done it to wives, wives that have done it to husbands, parents that have done it to children. That's horrible. That's horrible. So anybody that's in that situation, slow down. You're not there, okay? You have people you can reach out to. Reach out to us. Has anyone had a conversation with a deceased at a cemetery and they didn't know in life, but at the cemetery it's as if you knew them? That's a great question. Great. Um, I had always been really depressed, and no one understands why I'm so depressed, and I feel overwhelmed often. Again, I'm not a doctor. I'm going to be the first one to tell you, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a shrink or anything like that. Can people unfortunately just have that negativity as far as that feeling, and that's why they go on medication? Absolutely. Is it wrong? No. Hell no. You want to find a balance in life. You want to have your life back. True? So don't go off. I wouldn't tell anybody to go off their meds. That's definitely not what I'm saying. I am saying, though, if you have not taken steps, and there are other steps available, you need to try them. If you decide not to try them, like the beach, for those that are dealing with anxiety, if you are within reason of the beach and you can get to the beach, but you decide not to try it, shame on you. That's you. I can't change that for you. If you won't take the step, I can't help you. Nobody can help you. I'm using that as an example. You have to be willing to take certain steps, and not in a bad way. We're talking about steps to help you out and make things better.
2 minutes, boss.
All right, damn, that went fast.
Yeah.
Sorry, I've just been gabbing so much. I apologize. I've seen that on both sides. Kimberly was talking about seeing that on both sides of the fence. And again, I get away from myself. I'll have to go back and read this. Can you see me? Sandy Johnson, I can see you. I think I found all the other comments. Sandy, I can see you now. Thank you so much. You weren't seeing me, Sam, Shanna, Sandy Johnson I got, Jennifer, Christine I haven't seen yet. Basically any of those I can't see you or seeing them. I do not see Christine. Christine, I'm sorry. I do not know what's going on with that. This is the second week in a row. It's been really, really bad. Sam Thomas has not been on this one yet. She was on our last one. Shanna I have not seen. Again, I know we're out of time, but I want to just tell you guys, look, reach over to our page, message us. We will gladly talk to you. I'll talk to you on the phone. You want to give me a call, 240-626-7480. It's a lot easier if you text me first because I get so many calls. And look, I don't need any more car warranties, and I have no student loans, so I don't answer all the phone calls. I usually wait for a text message, or I go back and try to look at the recordings. Reach out to us, okay? You're not alone. We'd love to talk to you and work with you on anything you have. We do work with people across the board. I know we're out of time, so we got to jump off. Love hanging out with you guys. My childhood friend I haven't seen for a long time, but last night I seen him in a spirit form, found out the next day he committed suicide that day. I'm so truly sorry, but I'm glad you got to see him. I mean, that's still huge. Again, we're out of time. Any shout outs?
Thank you guys for jumping on, spending the hour with us. So, see you next. I won't be
Scott,
here.
Susan, thank you. All of you. Melody, thank you so much. Everybody, thank you for being part of this. And again, thanks for everybody that talked to help other people out, because it is going to help them. Susanna, please feel free to go ahead and reach us on our page. It's on there. Love and light to everybody.
Take
Thank
care,
you.
guys.